me.
Okay, sorry. So we were just talking about prep and prep
Yeah.
for Sheffield. And you're playing your cards close to your chest, so to speak, not showing anybody what you're holding. And but you're saying you'll post in the stories.
Yeah, some of it. Probably I post more of the heavy stuff in stories usually than rather than make a post. But at the same time, I don't post everything on stories either. But I'll be more like happy to post on stories because I know that it's gone faster than if I make an actual post.
It comes and it goes so quickly. And especially if it's like an event like the World Championships, it can easily fly under the radar because there's so many people. Like
Yeah.
for myself, anyways. I'm sure though. Do you post to like your main stories or like to your close friend stories?
I don't have a close friends, to be honest. So if
Neither
I
do
post
I.
on my story, everyone is seeing it.
In the exact same way. And I
Yeah.
often ask myself, do people post on their close friends? And I've been on other people's close friends. And do they ever ask themselves, I've never been seen one of Ryan's close friend stories. Does he have a close friends and I'm not on it? And
Yeah.
I wonder if people actually ask themselves that. Like, do I have him on my close friends and he's not giving it back? Like, what is going on? No, I don't have close friends. I've
Yeah.
never in my life done close friends.
I would feel like it makes sense. For example, one of the reasons I maybe would like to do it would be like for coaching clients, like if you have a message to share or something. But I use Facebook for
Mm,
that. That's because Joey has that way. I don't know if more people are on his close friends, but I know that he shares stuff that are sometimes like coaching related, like if we need programs and stuff, on his close friends. So I'm on that one. But I like, honestly, I feel like Instagram it's a lot of work sometimes. So I don't feel like I want to add to that by having close friends as well and then start posting on close friends and my usual page. So I'll just post
yeah.
everything. And if I'm not fine with posting something, I'll just not post it anywhere.
You know what? That's a really good idea to use it as if you are a coach. And people sometimes check their emails in time, but sometimes you're not going to check your email that day. If you need everyone
Yeah.
to see this and you need to hit everybody up all at once instead of individually trying to message people or whatever, and it's just for your clientele and your team, makes total sense. Throw in your
Yeah.
close friends and only have your close friends, the people that you're coaching. And then you'd be
Yeah.
okay.
Credit to Joey because he does it
Yeah,
well.
that's a really good idea, actually. That's a really good idea, actually. Because usually, if you have a messaging you're putting on close friends and you're thinking this is private, I don't want the world to see, people are going to find out.
Yeah.
Like if you put it on close friends, it's not going to stay in close friends.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you have
Yeah.
something like,
I
yeah,
feel
you got
like
to be
it's kind
careful.
of similar to previously back in the days. We used to have these, you had your main account and then you always had your private account that only your close friends was allowed to like actually follow. And you would post like weird stuff and stuff on the like private account. I feel like that's what
People,
close friends probably is now.
people would have private accounts. What was this? Sorry,
Well, it
back
was
in the
like
day.
a way back in the day. I don't know, 2012 when Instagram was like I don't
Oh
know.
wow,
When I grew up and Instagram came, like I used to have that until like high school. I also had like a private account. And
really?
yeah.
I don't even know if I was around
Yeah.
for 2012 Instagram, to tell you the
I
truth.
don't, I don't
So
know if it's 2012, but I don't know when I actually finished high school anymore. I'm still just 24, but I'm like, when did I
yeah,
actually finish high school? I lost track of time.
yeah, no kidding. So it's straight up be you just have a private account, almost like a burner account then.
Yeah, I don't anymore, but I know that I used to have it. So it's probably available somewhere, but I don't even know the name of it anymore. But we always used to call it like your name and then private, like Alba
No
private
kidding.
or something. I
Yeah,
think like
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of people, all of my friends at least in the town that I live had that.
So, in terms of holding back your training, is this a strategic advantage so your opposition doesn't know exactly what is coming? Is this for your own self, your own sake of, um, because to an extent, if you don't show all your cards as well, pressure, expectations for particular lifts, like you could come in and those round numbers that people are like, will she squat this? Will she dead that? And the pressure for each individual lift, let alone total, let alone, and the attachment to specific numbers can be overbearing at times.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, look, I just want to go 100%. Whatever the numbers are, I want to do the best possible I can do. It'll alleviate that. as well as the strategic advantage of your opposition not being able to calculate exactly where you're going to end up with squat, bench, deadlifts. So their plans also get more difficult. Is it
Yeah.
both of those, one of those, or why for you?
I would say that it's not for the competitive advantage because I don't think that it's that big, although maybe it comes. I would say that it's mostly just because when I don't know why, but when I post my training and I post, let's say I hit a huge number or something big, and I get really excited. But the second I post it, I start checking how is the post going? What are people thinking? How are people reacting? And then all of a sudden, especially if people are reacting well, let's say it gets reposted, people are commenting, it's big, then the next time I go into the gym, all of a sudden I'm starting to think more about it, what I want to lift in order for it to be a good post on Instagram rather than just lifting to get stronger. And I get stuck in this so many times. So when I have a prep and I just don't post, it just allows me to more so focus on getting stronger. And then when I hit these big numbers, I kind of just don't want to post as well to not put any other expectations on me because I know very well that what I do in training is not always the same as I do on meet day. Sometimes I can do more on meet day, sometimes I'll do less, but I usually will do somewhere around there, yes. But it's just I know very well that it may not be that exact number. And if I know even like I don't even show some of my friends and like close family what I do because so it is like maybe like alleviate some pressure from myself that I don't feel like I need. There's always going to be a lot of pressure, and then also it's a little bit fun. Like for example, for Worlds, I think feel like no one expected me to win. Probably someone, but like no one like really on the previews and everything. It was a bit surprising that I won, and in the end, I feel like it wasn't that surprising considering my numbers before and everything. It wasn't that surprising. And so that's kind of fun as well when it is a little bit surprising. If it can be like that, it won't always be, we'll never be able to fly under the radar all the time. And so there will always be a lot of pressure sometimes that you have to deal with. But if I can alleviate some of it somewhere and just make sure that my choices and decisions when I'm training is better, then I'll take that. So it's mostly just to make sure I'm making better decisions. Because I'll make a 360-degree turn and be like, I'm training just to get stronger to, oh, things are going well. And like, because it
Well,
is fun to get that approval approval as well. So I kind of have to just make sure that I train for the right reason and I make the right calls in my training and I don't train for social media. So it's mostly that. So like a combination of all things, but it's never for the competitive advantage, although there is like a small one.
I agree. A couple good things you mentioned there that I want to unpack. So, in terms of yeah, the pressure wise, and you're saying fly under the radar, it'll be tougher now that you won world championships, you won world games. I mean, my gosh, you had a fantastic 2025. So definitely you're going to have expectations, but that's fine. You've leveled up as well. But also, going into the world championships, who did you think was the favorite? Was it Megan then in your mind's eye?
Well, I think I don't know if I listened to the preview podcast. I actually don't remember. I usually don't before competition, but I did feel like, yeah, I probably expected like Meg, but then I think I heard a lot about Chiara. And so
Mm,
now I think about it because I felt like I knew Chiara was close and people were talking about Chiara. So it felt for me like I was more expected to be in third place then, which makes me think that I probably listened to it because I'm like, how did I remember and think these things without listening to the previous podcast before?
mm.
So maybe I did. I just don't remember. But so I think that it was one of those. But that was also because again, I didn't really post all of my training. And so it's like it's easier to bet on what you know. Although my training wasn't that crazy either. I just really had a good day.
Really?
Yeah, I hit pretty much the numbers that I hit in comp. It wasn't like anything much bigger than that. So,
What was your confidence levels like then going into Worlds? If you had heard the podcasts and they were saying this, and then training was good, but nothing like, oh my God, I'm going to, nothing crazy. What was your confidence levels like?
well, they were good because like what I did, it wasn't crazy crazy, but it was still PRs for me. Like I PR'd
Okay.
everything in which I haven't PR'd every single lift during a prep for like years, and now I PR'd
Mm.
every single lift in training. So with like 2.5 kilos, so not much, but like still. So I knew that okay, I am stronger than ever. But to be honest, the entire prep, ever after Sheffield, I just had I don't know, this gut feeling after Sheffield that things are gonna go well, kinda. Like I kind of knew because me and Joey, we made this post, like this picture where we were like posting, and he was like, "Don't count out the little one. See you in Germany." And I like felt like Germany, it's something special about it. That's like the only thing I felt, and it was the same for Malta. It was just like a feeling that I had a good feeling because I learned so much for Sheffield, and then you never know because I had no idea what the other girls are gonna do, but I just knew that I was my strongest self, and then we'll see if that shows. Like I can't really control what anyone else is doing, just that I'm my strongest self, and then usually that works out pretty well in the end.
Right. If you focus on yourself, do you try not to listen to preview shows with for the same reason you don't post as much, to not let things get in your head, to not like if we're over accentuating like, wow, so and so's looking really good, and you're like, oh my gosh, like she is looking really good, or expectations
Me,
wise.
it depends. So I would say if I'm not super confident, I would definitely try to avoid it because if I don't know anything and if my training's not going good and then someone else's, that could be somewhere where maybe you start freaking out a little bit. But
Right.
mostly it's because I try to remove as much like stuff as possible to just recover. So I try to like literally just not listen to podcasts that much closer because a lot of it is sometimes it's not always right and you can easily start believing what everyone is saying. And then but at the same time, for me, it's like an enjoyable thing. I always put on a podcast in the morning, like when I'm drinking my smoothie and getting ready for my session. And I have this time frame where I just have to finish my smoothie, so I have nothing to do while I'm doing it. And I go on my walk before I get into the gym. I just always have a podcast on, and it's something that I enjoy and kind of gets me ready. But previous shows, I try to like kind of avoid them because you never
Mm,
really know, and I don't really need to know what other people think are gonna happen because it's not always right. So
yeah,
that's why I try to avoid them.
it is guesswork. I mean, you're
Yeah.
literally, like we are saying earlier, you're trying to go off information that you see, and it's limited information. It's not the full story, and
Yeah.
it's an educated guess. You're doing your research, but you're still guessing. And at the last minute, somebody can get hurt, someone, whatever. They could be, what's their body weight when they're in training? Their numbers can be really high, but what's the body weight? Um, what
Yeah.
was like, what do you think was the advantage? Because Joey wanted you to do the worlds the year before for experience. What do you think
Yeah.
that experience level advantage was going into this worlds because you had done the
Like
previous year?
I think the biggest thing was because I had both that and then obviously I had Sheffield, which also was
Right.
very competitive. And so I just had those lessons in the back of my mind and I like just knew what to do. And I knew how it would feel. So previously I've said this and I heard you say it too on podcast, like I used to freak out a little bit if I knew it would be tight. And so now I just don't anymore because I know that even it could be literally 10 different people 2.5 kilos away from each other. And so, super, super close. But I can't control that. There's literally nothing I can do. And if I'm going to start focusing on that, then I'm going to start making stupid decisions in training. And then I'm going to end up not being the strongest that I could be. So, literally, everything I can do is just focus on getting as strong as I can be. And then we'll just see how it pans out. Like, literally, there's nothing else to it. And that's what I kind of felt because now that I experienced that competitiveness, that's exactly what it was. It didn't do anything to me. What anyone else, what Shiara does, what Meg does, that does not really affect me. Maybe on the podium in the end of the competition, but it doesn't affect my numbers really. So
Mm.
I shouldn't allow it to get to my head, which it used to in the past because I would try to like I have to force myself into doing these numbers because they do so and so that's this numbers. And now I'm more so like, let's just try to get literally 2.5 kilos stronger on each lift. Like just hit a small PR on everything. And sometimes it's a bigger PR, sometimes it's a smaller PR. Like let's just try to add kilos on my total and then we'll see.
Was your first experience at Worlds, was it impactful for you in terms of how you felt, how you reacted, how, because it was in the open, I'm talking, because it was
Yeah.
Lithuania, right?
Yeah.
And was there an impact that you didn't expect? Because some people, the reason why I ask, recently I reposted a 52 from USA called Sarah Mercer. And I was
Yeah.
saying, well, 52s better watch out because Sarah's numbers in training are looking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Sarah actually went to her Instagram story saying, listen, first off, don't throw too much pressure on me. I'm like, okay, fair enough. But then she was also mentioning how she might not be looking to try to go to Worlds unless, and I'm paraphrasing, but she thinks she's a podium threat or something of the upper echelon anyways, right? If she's going to go to
Yeah.
Worlds. And she was saying, I get it where people mention it's great for experience, but for me, it's not. I don't want to do it just for the experience. I want to do it if I know I'm full on competitive and I'm a podium threat. But as somebody who's been in powerlifting for, I mean, I've been powerlifting since like 2008. I know you've been powerlifting, even though you're young. You've been doing it
Yeah.
for many years as well.
Seven, seven,
You,
7 years now. 8 years of training.
so you're a grizzled veteran, and despite your age, and the I don't know if people fully realize when they come into the game how opportunities will. There's a couple of things here. Opportunities will come and go with themselves. Where if you have an opportunity to go to Worlds, it's all fine and dandy to say, I'll go in 2 or 3 years, because then I think I'll be a podium threat. I don't want to go if I don't think I'm going to be a podium threat. I'm not going if I'm just top five, just top 10. So there's a couple pieces here I would say. A, you that just air quotes because just top five is amazing at Worlds, but that
Yeah.
just might be as sweet as it ever gets because somebody will come around in the next 2 or 3 years and you'll never make it back to Worlds. That
Yeah.
opportunity will be gone. Everything changes in powerlifting in 2 to 3 years. We've seen this. Look at Agatha Shitko 2 to 3, like in 2023, look what she was doing. And in 2024 and 2025, you better watch out. She's like
Yeah.
people like that come out of nowhere. So to plan to say no thank you, ask me in 2 to 3 years, they might not be asking. That door of opportunity might close. And you'll
Yeah.
look back and say, darn it, top five would have been phenomenal in a sport that I picked up. And as years go by, you look back, and if you've never gone to Worlds because of that, because you said no thank you, you're like, frig, that was it. There's that piece. And then the other piece would be what Joey's plan with you was go experience this, and then next time you come, you'll be more and more calm. Everything you do multiple times gets easier and easier and easier. And
Yeah.
the first time you come, everything you're feeling, like seeing these open lifters and the crowd and everything, it's overwhelming to an extent. The stimulus on your body makes you use more energy than you think you are. It's
Yeah.
and that's just a fact. When you're nervous or excited, even just walking, even just standing there, you're using more energy than you normally would. You can deadlifts can come around, and if you're overstimulated for 3 hours, which is as long a session could be,
Yeah.
that's when people gas out. That's when things happen like that, where Dad's just wasn't there. You were overstimulated all day. You were up, and you couldn't come
Yeah.
back down, and it's out of your control. People overestimate. If you're in the gym, you can control your environment. When you show up at Worlds, you got 1,000 people hooting and hollering. You're on Eurosport, you're on CBS. You got everyone there cheering and hooting and hollering, and the hype is real. And you're looking around; these legends are in the warm up room. You're not coming back down. You're
Yeah.
you're you're going to stay flying high, and the only way for you to manage that is to have done it so many times. It's not old hat, but it's more manageable. And
Yeah.
these are the little things I don't think people who are relatively new to the international world scene totally can appreciate unless you experience it. And you're like,
For sure.
whoa, So, anyways, yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree because like also nothing is certain. And this is what I learned because back in 2023, I got the option to go to Open Worlds and I obviously didn't because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go until I know that I have a potential to win. And if, I'm not gonna do a competition, travel and do everything when, I got Junior Worlds where I know, I literally can win and I'm gonna sacrifice that because of a competition I can't win and go there and everything. So I was like, no. And then the question came in 2024 again, and I was like, we talked at home, me and my partner was like, what am I gonna do? Like if I do these numbers, maybe I'm top five. If I do these numbers, which I'm capable of, maybe I actually could potentially win because my total Meg had done 542.5 at the time, and I thought that my total could maybe be 530 at the time. I did 525. But then I was like, I don't know what to do. We asked Yoey, and Yoey was like, let's do it because you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And he gave me the example of him pushing Cranon to do nationals, and she was scared at first, but then look at where she is now and how well she has done now because she actually did it. And so we were like, you know what? Let's do it. And just at the second that I decided to do open worlds, my entire mind should shift because now I had just decided and accepted that it's going to be uncomfortable, but let's do it. I'm going to do it even though, because he also told me, well, you may end up top five, but that's still really good, just like you said. And also nothing is certain because I thought that literally I would be number one back in 2021, my first junior worlds, and I ended up placing in third, very far behind Sarah Naldi and Chiara Bernardi. So at that time before that Worlds, I thought, I'm gonna win. There's no question about it. Two people came up that I had no idea who they were, and they were way stronger than me. And so you could think that, okay, now I can win, but then you could end up placing lower back because nothing is for certain. Just as you may think you're gonna end up in top five, and you could end up podiuming or winning. You just never really know until you actually go there. And I've been through both of those where it's actually like it goes way better than I think. And because example, 2021 as well, I did bench worlds and I was supposed to compete both in the juniors and in the open. So I was supposed to do both. This was also in Lithuania. And then we found out, like literally the day before a juniors competition, that, okay, we're not allowed to do both. They literally decided, although we had been nominated for like weeks on end, that you can't do both. You have to choose open or juniors. And I just decided, okay, let's do open. There is a potential that I may not win it because one of the girls were nominated way higher than me. And so there's a chance that I may not win, but I think that I'm going to learn more from doing it in the open than in the juniors. And what happened? I actually won and became the open bench press world champion. Be it my numbers weren't that good, I literally was lucky because I think I won with 112 kilos in the 63. So it's not like that crazy, but still, I got a world title just because I chose the one where I wasn't going to win it. So you never know, but you gain a ton of experience. And so there is a shame to miss on the chance if you do have it, because like you said, you never really know. And then if it doesn't go as you think, you're going to gain a ton of experience because it is really sad of thinking like I'm only going to compete if I know I can win. I've been like that for years. And that's why I've been afraid of competition until I realized that, you know what? If I want to go to the lengths where I want to go to, I can't just have be 20 kilos ahead of the pack. I have to be able to be in the middle of the pack and then still be able to execute. And that helped me grow so much. And it also helped me love the sport even more and what I'm doing it even more and relieve a ton of anxiety that I would have in the past.
One of the best examples. That's why I keep using you as an example when I bring this up, but because you've been open about it, saying how previously um, you were like steamrolling in the juniors, always winning. And then when you went to the international scene, like you had said in 2021, all of a sudden competition ratchets up and it can be rattling. And I think it's very common. You're just open and honest about it. But I think it's very common for people to only want to show up, only want to do things if they think they're going to win, or
Yeah.
at the very least, and not want to risk it.
But if
And
you don't get like give yourself the opportunity to go there, you're also not gonna win. It's a bigger chance of you winning if you do it when you're not knowing if you're gonna win than if you never do it because you want to wait until you can win. Um, and you gain a ton of experience. Like it's just such a big thing. Experience helps a lot, and all of the mistakes and failures. Like I failed junior worlds 3 years in a row before I finally at the last shot like actually was able to win. So I failed a ton of times before, but that's something I think have. That's why I had a good first open year. It's only because I failed so many years before, so I have that experience, in my opinion.
that's really well put. That is why I succeeded because I failed so many times leading up to it.
Yeah,
That's the honest truth that people probably don't want to hear. Is what's the key to success? Fail a bunch of times with everybody watching. That's probably the
yeah,
cost. That's the price you will have to pay. And if you're picking your shots too much, you won't gain that experience, nor will you. You don't know when that win is around the corner. You're right in that, like a quote unquote lucky win when you're like, ooh, I got kind of lucky there at Bench Worlds. I'd rather a lucky win than not at all, period. Some people wait for the perfect timing where it's like, it is far too competitive. The game is moving far too quickly. It'll never come, or it may
yeah,
never come anyways. It's you got to start shooting while you have the opportunity.
yeah.
Um,
And also, a lot of people are like, they don't want to have a lucky win because they want like an actual win where they feel like Everything is at stake. Their competitors is at their best level, and so they don't want to have a lucky win. And I do understand that. I'm the same way. I would rather have a win where like all of my competitors are on their A game and everyone is doing really good, but I still come out on top. But just because you can have a lucky win doesn't mean that that lucky win can help you get that undisputed win, or
Mm.
I don't know how to say it, but you can still have the way that kind of win in the end and moving forward. So I think that having a lucky win doesn't take away from the fact that you are a champion, and that can help catapult you to the future as well, to be able to have those, all a tight field, a lot of competitors and being able to do it. Because now you have like proof of concept that you can actually do it.
Well, yeah, that's true. The proof of concept, and also take into consideration, sure, along the way, sometimes you'll get, again, quote unquote, lucky win. It's lucky is kind of funny because you have to do the lifting. But for every lucky win, how many unlucky losses will you have where you show up, had an amazing prep, and then you get hurt a day or two before, and you're like, damn it? And how many times will you hold that against yourself, but you won't hold up any quote unquote lucky wins? This is the way it is along the road. You'll have
Yeah.
tough losses, easy wins, collect them all, but you got to keep showing up.
Yeah.
And
And I also want to say, I think this is just because it's something that I was thinking about it, like moving up a lot of time. When people say you may get injured, I was like, not me, not me. And I just want to say it's not necessarily that you get injured in training. You could literally fall outside, you could get run over by a car. Like it
right,
could be something really minor outside of the gym that gets you injured and then whoops. I had a guy we had like this all strength community and he hurt his finger. And so he had to pull out from nationals because he hurt his finger. And that doesn't always happen in training. Sometimes stuff just happen, like literally. So you could miss out on an opportunity for other reasons. So it's not always that because I used to think that, I'm training so smart. So never me. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna injure myself. I'm gonna be better. And eventually, like that's what I thought as well. But like it stuff can happen. Like if something can happen to someone else, it can happen to you as well.
the, the irony of how you like your early origin stories when you talk about being a junior and continuously winning and then but not having major battles. Now you were so battle tested. I mean, you've you've been in so many battles and won battles at the obviously the highest level, world championships. You won world games this year. Now you're extremely battle tested. Coming into Sheffield, how different is this for you? If you were to compare yourself walking into Lithuania Worlds, which was only a year and a bit ago, but
Yeah.
if you were to compare over just that year and a half, the difference between Alba then and Alba now, walking into this Sheffield, and we'll talk about this Sheffield, but how different are you as an athlete?
Well, very, very, very different. I would say like in a sense, like when I think about it, honestly, when I think about open worlds in Lithuania 2024, I'm more like, I feel like it's more different if I compare to last Sheffield. Because last Sheffield, I went back to all of the old habits of freaking out and everything. And I felt like I actually was doing way worse for last Sheffield than I did for open worlds in Lithuania.
Mm,
Although I'm still way better than, but I felt like that's when I had, when you take two steps forward, one step back. I definitely when I did open worlds, and also junior worlds in 2024, I took two steps forward, but then for Sheffield, I took one step back. But now I feel like I've taken three steps forward in a sense. So I think like my confidence level is better, but also I enjoy what I'm doing way more. I love the sport and the lifestyle even more. And like I've loved and wanted to do nothing but powerlifting for the last 7 years, literally. But I feel like I have even more of a spark in me for actually loving it because there are challenges. And there's a book I'm reading. It's called Flow. Everyone has probably heard about Flow, but so from the guy that actually like came up with Flow. And they literally speak about how having flow, you have to have if your skill level is really high and what you're doing is not challenging enough, you're going to be bored. And if the skill level that you have is high, but the challenges is even harder, then you're going to have anxiety because it's too hard. You get flow when you're in the perfect moment of you have a skill level and it's challenging for you, but not so much that you can't handle it. So you never get bored, you don't get anxiety. And I feel like I kind of found out how to be in that state. Not that I have flow all the time, every session or anything, but I feel like I've understood how to have that in my life more, where I feel like I have these challenges, but I know that I actually have the skills to take them on, at least. And I know I can grow from them. And that causes me to, well, sometimes like last Sheffield, I put up so big goals and imaginary numbers that the challenge was just too high. And
Mm.
almost as well for open worlds, I almost thought that it was gonna be easier because when I first decided to do open worlds, I like kind of got super confident because when I accepted that I was gonna be uncomfortable, I was like, then I got confident. And so it was actually harder in the competition than I thought it would be moving in. Versus Sheffield was actually like I made it way harder than it was supposed to be. And now I feel like I have more so of that balance where I'm challenging myself and I know what I can do and I know how to put my goals better, which makes me enjoy everything better and feel like more in a flow state. Kind of,
So
if that
first
makes
off, you're
sense.
really good at articulating all these things. Like you're really good at articulating yourself. But this kind of goes back to what we were already saying with like managing expectations, managing goals, being realistic with it. Um, I was reading somebody talking about they had a really good post saying there are people who quote unquote burn out and say, powerlifting became too stressful. I stopped. It became chasing numbers, and they talk about like the burnout from it, the burnout from like fatigue, from competing fatigue, from expectations fatigue, from and just having to step away and step away from social media, step away from competing, step away from the community, blah, blah. You see these sometimes. And
Yeah,
somebody made a post saying, it is not powerlifting. It's you.
yeah,
This is a reflection of how you handle things, how you put pressure on yourself, how you and you could have done this with powerlifting. You could have done this with anything in your life,
yeah,
but is a reflection of how you goal set, how you handle those goals, how you add pressure and anticipation on yourself. It's not powerlifting. And when you
yeah,
look at yourself and say that, very much to what you were just speaking about, putting too big of goals, putting too big of pressure on and not having achieving that flow. When you actually step back and be like, no, it's not. Don't talk like it's social media, it's powerlifting,
yeah,
it's look at yourself. You're probably doing it to yourself in so many different avenues in life where you can continuously. When you throw it on yourself and understand you have far more control than you think. Just
yeah,
handle it it's how you approach it and the
yeah,
self-talk and expectation yourself. And again, that a lot of that comes through maturation as an athlete, as a person, just knowing yourself, knowing how you are in certain environments, and collecting that experience. And it's
yeah.
every now and then you'll see a video, read a post that'll help calibrate for you, but living it and looking back, it really does help. And it sounds like, through experience, you've really come to grips with it and really understand how you operate and how to get the most out of yourself and not burn out.
For sure. And then I would say I'm still not perfect. Like I still noted, for example, this prep and also so open worlds in Germany when I won, I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of mad. I don't know why. Like I finally won my first open world. So I was happy about it, but I was also kind of mad. And that's because for the first time I've actually had the prep I had was so incredibly enjoyable that that day couldn't measure up to how enjoyable the prep was. And I've had this for World Games. I was kind of tired, and I kind of put because I had a big prep already. I knew I didn't have much in the tank, so I took it more easy because I was like, I want to prep for Sheffield. Sheffield is the big one, and now for Sheffield, I had an amazing prep. And when I say amazing, I don't mean in terms of numbers. I mean in terms of I've enjoyed it so much. And then during Christmas and New Year's Eve, I started like putting up way more pressure on myself. And what happened? Immediately, I started thinking like, oh crap, I don't feel good. I don't like this. It's not fun. I didn't enjoy myself. And so I started like, I hated the fact that it was New Year's because I was like, my routines are not going to be the same. And I got mad at that because I got so fixated on everything and didn't enjoy myself. And then I realized this. I was like, hold on. You're not enjoying yourself right now. This is because you have this and this idea of what you're gonna do, and literally just remember last Sheffield, this is exactly what you did for the entire last Sheffield. And that's why I hated the competition. I hated the entire prep. And I've had a lot of competitions where before junior worlds a few times prep has been going bad, and I've actually been thinking I was never going to do it, but I have been thinking, should I pull out, because it feels like it's too much. But it has always come from inside of me. My boyfriend is never gonna be like, "Oh, you didn't win. Oh, you disappointed me." No, no,
Yeah.
no. The only time he would be like that is if I did not do my best and was like, I don't know, talking shit and not enjoying myself, because he wants me to enjoy myself. And that's the most important thing. My mom, my dad, they are proud of me no matter what. Like honestly don't care. They just care of the fact that I have a smile on my face. And my family, when I stepped on the platform for Sheffield for the first squad, they were like, I knew immediately you didn't have a good day because they could see it in my face. They knew it.
Mm,
I didn't want to be there. And I've had those competitions before. And every time when I've had that, my parents have always told me, yeah, I saw it immediately. You weren't there. It wasn't your day. And then, I have other days where they see me and they're like, yeah, now we know you have your day. And it's about how much I enjoy the experience. And a lot of times when people say they burn out from powerlifting, it's like you say, it's probably them. I understand that pressure can be a ton and powerlifting can be monatomic. It could be the same thing. And maybe you want to do other stuff. And if you want to be good at something, maybe you have to sacrifice a lot in order to be good at powerlifting. And that can be too much. And it could be a lot of pressure. And you feel like, I have to follow this through, because no one wants to be a quitter. So I feel like a lot of people put this pressure on themselves that they have to do it, but it does come from themselves. And it's good to understand that, because then you can at least start thinking, can I maybe make things more enjoyable for myself? Can I change my own expectations, my own goals? Because I say this to a lot of clients. I may have clients that I'm coaching, not necessarily in powerlifting, but they're powerlifting a little and they think it's fun. And then they want to do X, Y, and Z that is not going to help them reach their goals, but it's going to help with their quality of life. And all I say is you can definitely do that if you want to, but you just have to understand it's going to affect the results you get. It doesn't mean you can't get results and get strong, but it may take more time. So just be okay with that so you don't like hammer down on yourself later on when you didn't reach those goals in time and think that you're bad. No, you decided to have this type of journey. You decided to do these things. And if you can understand that and you can accept it, then you can actually enjoy life more as a whole. And maybe if you do decide to sacrifice things and be more monatomic with doing this powerlifting, maybe at least you can still enjoy it more, which means you won't burn out as much. Because mostly when people burn out, it's they don't find any joy. And that's like last Sheffield, like I said, I just hated everything. So my biggest goal this entire 2025 has just been to enjoy everything. And for some reason, my training tends to go really well when I do enjoy myself. I just found that I always thought that, you have to be like grind hard, hate everything, it's boring, Mamba mentality, And but it's always been like if I don't enjoy it, then it's still not gonna go well. But if I can do those same things, but I enjoy it, then it's gonna go way, way, way better. So you just need to like have a good system, you're gonna get results and then enjoy it as much as you can.
a lot of what you're saying too, you it's good to approach this almost curious how things will go. You learn so much about yourself by going outside of your comfort zone. This is like obviously extremely exaggerated the situations you put yourself in, like Sheffield, the world
Yeah.
championships, winning a world title, placing for a world title, etc. But only by throwing yourself in these extreme environments with these huge goals, with the world watching, are you finding out about yourself, being curious, and it isn't necessarily what you think. Like you wouldn't expect, like everything you're saying about even your parents and people who know you best can just off the first squat see like, oh, she's not here today. And well, is it, if you don't know, you would just be like, no, it's weightlifting. Yeah, of course, you'll just show up, you'll squat. What's the big deal? No, like
Yeah.
it isn't the stimulus, the stress, the pressures. Things happen, but it's all a journey of finding out, wow, that was interesting. I didn't think that would happen to me. And then what do I do to adapt? What did I find out about myself? And then you grow and get better. And this is all part of the growth factor. but it's exposure to these. It's throwing yourself in there and continuously doing so. And you, to your point about still learning, you will always learn. It'll never
Yeah.
be you just show up and you feel nothing. You'll always feel certain pressures and have certain goals, but you're learning along the way. And
Yeah.
that's what you can't, cheat code your way through being a 7, 8 year veteran. You watch whatever videos you want on YouTube, read whatever articles you want, talk to whatever mentors you have, but experience is very difficult because of that. And that's
Yeah.
what you could bring. Another thing you mentioned, which was interesting, I want to ask you about, because Ivan actually came on the podcast and was saying after the world championships, and he was already a world champion, in between Worlds and Sheffield, and he was super excited to go to Sheffield, he had World
Yeah.
Games, just like you.
Yeah.
But he said he didn't fully know what World Games meant to him. He knew it was big, but he wasn't fully wrapping around. It wasn't Worlds, because if you're going to pick, which one would you rather have? World champion. And then
Yeah.
Sheffield, he thought was felt bigger. So he wasn't necessarily like sure what World Games meant to him. He knew it was big, but didn't quite know in there. And you were kind of saying how Sheffield was the big one.
Yeah.
You had already become a world champ, so you're kind of holding serve
I
at World
regret that
Games.
though. I wish I would have given more to World Games.
Really?
Like,
Okay, yeah. So
yeah.
speak on. Let's talk about it. What did it mean to you? Tell me about your experience, and where do you think it rests in terms of Sheffield World Championships, etc.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak too much on the experience of World Games because I feel like I've listened to so many podcasts where everyone already spoke about it. But it was just so many people. When I found out about World Games, I thought this is huge. And that's what also a reason why I went to 2024 Lithuania to try and qualify for World Games, which I thought I would do easily. Obviously didn't. And then I got a wild card and, wild card for Sheffield and everything ends well. But I thought it was huge. But then people started dropping out. And when all of these people started dropping out, I was like, maybe it's not that big. And that's why I was like, honestly, I don't know about going because honestly, it was expensive. I'm very lucky to have a federation that pays for our travels, but Sammy wanted to come. Sammy is my boyfriend. He wanted to come along, obviously, because we're going to China. That's amazing. And so, he had to pay for himself, of course. So it was a very expensive trip. It's a long trip. We're going to be gone for like 10 days because it's a time zone difference. It's my first time ever with a time zone difference. I've never experienced that before. So I was like,
Really?
yeah, never. This was my first time,
Wow,
but it turned out well.
that's a cool fact because you're such an international lifter. But
Yeah, but Europe,
right,
you know,
pretty
it,
central.
it, yeah, pretty central. And all of my competitions previously have been in Europe. But either way, like we were like honestly until like the week before, we're like, are we actually gonna go? Should we go? Should we go? And then there were like this trouble with rooms, and there was this question, are we gonna get rooms together? And we were like, we really don't know. But then we decided, let's go, let's enjoy it, because one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go was because I knew there's gonna be a ton of other sports. And I was like, I always wanted to be a sports person. I want powerlifting to be viewed more and more as a sport because, it's not that big. So I want it to be more and more as a sport. And so like actually being there, I feel like I would regret not going. So, we went and I was very relaxed, which I actually think worked to my advantage. My partner was really relaxed, so everything was kind of easy. And the entire competition, I didn't get that tired, even when I almost, they were hard on bench, so I missed my opener. Even then, I was like, you know what, I got this. I was kind of calm because I knew what to do because I didn't put that pressure onto myself before it. But the entire experience was so amazing that afterwards, when we were at the closing ceremony, I was like, I really hope powerlifting returns to World Games in 2027, I believe. And I really, really hope, or is it 2029? I have no idea. But I really hope it returns. And I want to be there when it's in Germany. Like I put that at my like vision board, like as a vision for the future, because it felt amazing. The experience felt amazing and like something I wanted to have when I started powerlifting. Then I know for powerlifting, it wasn't that big in terms of the people that were there, but I'm really sad that happened because I feel like the experience was so amazing and I feel like it's gonna do great things for the experience of the athletes when it comes to the sport. I don't know how much it's going to do for the viewership of powerlifting for the sport. I can't speak on that, but I feel like for athletes, I would want every top athlete to experience it because it was so cool. And so I regret it, but I still feel like Worlds is bigger and Sheffield is bigger. But for me, like I'm gonna have that Germany as a goal. I'm gonna want to go there again. And, the next time I would take prep really seriously for it because I feel like then it would, especially because it is only every 4 years. Like that's kind of big too. Because,
Mm.
you don't, it's not like, okay, Worlds go back. You just have to wait 12 months because 12 months is like, it's fast. No, you have to wait 4 years. And I feel like that's really cool. So for me, like it is up there at like the same level, but I understand why it isn't for everyone.
Yeah, it was. I am hopeful that when it rolls around to Germany, it'll be bigger. It'll have a bigger participation rate, bigger output, and everything could change by then. And to your point about every 4 years, so much changes. If that's like a whole athletic prime, you could be the
Yeah,
number one in your nation in the world, period, and it'll come and go in one cycle of that four
yeah,
years. That's a long time to try to stay on top to see two of them. And whenever you're trying to make demand higher, is just make the supply scarce, and that's supply and demand, and that's what it is with World Games and the
yeah,
Olympics is you get so it feels automatically more special.
yeah,
And you did a good job there too of explaining. Listen, will this make a major impact in terms of viewership? Who knows? It can't hurt, that's for sure. But more
yeah,
than anything, the experience of being alongside other sports at an international level. I know the Pan American Games, which is the whole Western Hemisphere, was in Toronto some years ago, and I bought tickets for everything. And I was showing up at
yeah.
all the different events, and it is cool
Yeah.
to see all these different sports and athletes, and it's fun.
It's
So
just
for
like a
powerlifting,
sporting event for like people that are like-minded. And we met some Swedes at like the closing ceremony. They were like, "Whoa, it's Swedes!" They were also
yeah,
Swedes, and they were like, "Oh, other Swedish people, we haven't found anyone." And like when they found out that, for example, I won, they were like, "What?" It's really cool because for them, it's just you won World Games. It doesn't matter what sport it was, you're actually at World Games because they
yeah,
know how hard it is for them to get to that point in their sport. So in powerlifting, they would think that it's just as hard. It doesn't matter how many people pulled out or anything for the outside viewer. And yeah, it's just a really cool experience. And I feel like we want to be sport. And for another cool thing for me personally, because I had that World Games win, we have like a really big sports gala in Sweden. It's the biggest one. It's called the Idrottsgalan.
mm,
And I, because of World Games and also, of course, Worlds, because I won this, I got nominated as the newcomer of the year, which is the first time someone has ever from powerlifting been nominated to that sports gala in Sweden. So it's the first time ever for powerlifting to be nominated, which means that we're now seen with the same, like in the same place as all these other sports. You have Mondo
mm.
Duplantis, who always wins a prize there, for example. And I think, what is it? Pole vaulting, I think,
I'm not sure.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like we have all of these big stars, and now a powerlifter gets in there, and that's thanks to World Games, and that is a really cool experience because that's really big for powerlifting in Sweden as a whole, because that brings powerlifting out to more eyes in Sweden, which can help powerlifting grow in Sweden. And if it grows in a country, because like your nation, your government are probably going to care a little bit more about World Games than just Worlds, because it is very big for the nation as a whole.
Very good point because um, being in an event, multi-sport event like that, look at Jurens, who won Athlete of the Day. The exposure you get where he's doing legacy media like radio shows, etc., talk shows and whatnot, because he was Athlete of the Day there. You're
Yeah,
getting exposed, and other people who would not have been paying attention to powerlifting, now powerlifting's on the radar. And that's a
yeah,
subtle thing, tough to gauge. It's a subtle thing
yeah,
that's hard to track. But if we do this over and over, we start getting mentioned alongside other sports with doors open. And while Sheffield's huge, World Games being associated with the Olympics and the IOC, etc., it puts us more on those type of radars, and a lot of funding through different nations are paying attention to if you're IOC recognized part of those type of events. Now your funding goes up. Now it
Yeah.
becomes a better conversation there for it, and that will directly impact the expansion of the sport within these nations. If they're
Yeah.
going to get picked up in universities and whatnot. So yeah, it's a really really big deal in a lot of ways people might not see on the surface. And it's funny you mentioned a pole vaulter because I like when the Olympics roll around, I don't know certain sports. Like I would never follow pole vaulting year over year. Olympics roll on, throw the Olympics on in the background. What the heck? And I still remember there was pole vaulting on
Yeah.
television. I'm like, whatever. Let me check out what this is all about. And the way pole vaulting, there are similarities to powerlifting in that they'll keep rising the bar. Okay,
Yeah.
it
And
never
it's
goes
three
back down.
attempts, right?
This is it, right? So I'm used. Hey, say less. This is starting to talk my language. So you have 3 attempts at that height, and the bar only goes higher, doesn't go lower. So the field of global competitors trims as the bar goes up, and you'll see
Yeah.
the guy from Norway missed two. Oh my God, he's got to get it on his third. He's only got one more attempt. Very similar to our sport, but I wouldn't have known. So then, as it's going higher and higher, and it's getting exciting, it goes to the top one, to the like the highest it's been, and there's only two guys left. And there's a
Yeah.
young upstart, and there's the Frenchman. And this
Yeah.
was when the Olympics were in Paris. Or no,
Yeah.
they weren't in Paris. It was a different nation because he wasn't the hometown favorite. This is what I remember. And anyways, it was the very top end, and the first guy, the young upstart, hits it, goes over the bar, makes his jump, and he's now qualified to like he's still in the race. Now the
Yeah.
defending world champion, the Frenchman, the grizzled veteran, comes up, tries, nails the bar flies off, and he doesn't make it. And the entire stadium starts erupting because they think the young upstarts got him. And I still
Yeah.
remember him hitting the mat, the Frenchman, rolling off and like sitting there, and the whole stadium cheering because they think they're about to see an upset and the young guy's about to take him. And him looking up at the crowd and doing this with this waving his finger, like, no, and grabbing his pole vault and shrugging his shoulders with pride, like, it ain't over yet, kid. And
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know nothing about pole vaulting, threw it on a whim because it was on this multi sport event, and I was in. Say
Yeah.
less. Now I'm intrigued. Now I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
this is a great story unfolding right in front of my eyes. And I
Yeah.
stopped what
It's
I was doing in
always
the
like
back.
that in sports.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
doesn't
stopped
matter what sport it is.
I stopped what I'm doing in the background. Like, I got to see how the story ends. Years later, I'm still telling this. I say all that just to say the exposure to us sports fans who might have this on in the background, we can collect new fans. We can collect new viewers who would
Yeah.
see Alba Ballstrom and they're watching. It's in the background. They're like, well, what's going on here? And you come storming back into the deadlifts. And right up to the very last deadlift, it's a battle. Kiara comes out, Meg comes out, you end up winning. And it's like, shit, I thought it was just weightlifting. I thought it would just be people exercising. This is
Yeah.
not just people exercising. These girls have stories in the background coming into this. They're all like, so we could capture people. This is how it happens. But you need
Yeah.
that exposure. You need that
Yeah.
exposure to break through.
Yeah. No, it's something different. It's just that's why I feel like it's really cool because that's something you don't experience when you're just at a powerlifting meet where this felt like way bigger. And it felt like, you know what, I would actually want to experience Olympics. And previously I've been like, who cares if powerlifting is? I know it's not necessary for the sport growth necessarily to be in it, but like as an athlete, I would like to experience it. And and I feel like our athletes and what they want is also very, very important if we want the sport to grow. Because if our athletes are doing well and, you know, have bigger goals to chase and everything, I think that's what happened with Sheffield. We gave an incentive to have even bigger goals. Now everyone's goal is to break the world record. And what happens? Well,
Mm.
the records they fly
Yeah.
and they're broken.
Yeah. Um. So after the World Championships, you take the world title, the open world title, which is phenomenal. How do you feel now? Talking about battles, experience levels, in wanting to attain certain goals, and that's like probably the tip of the iceberg. That's like the number one of who wants to be the open world champion. Now you got it. And when you enter into competitions now, yes, there's pressure to perform because you're a world champion, so people have expectations. Anyone from Sweden will be, who do we have in this weight class on this day? Well, we have the world champ, the defending world champ. Everyone will automatically, even if they don't super follow and they're just watching the peripheral, they'll be like, oh my God, okay, wow, we must have a really good chance. So there's some pressure there for performance. But on the flip side, there's also alleviation because if everything stopped right now, you've already done it. If you never win another world title, you've already been a world champion. Like you can't possibly have looked back at your career and term it a failure. Where someone who hasn't done these things, they could be like, oh, what if I never win a world title? What if I come and go and I never become a world champ? I never podium. I never. You've done. You creamed everybody in the juniors. The year you won, you would have won every single weight class right up to the 84 plus, and I think you would have got bronze in the 84 plus. It was crazy. And then in the
Should have
open,
eaten more.
and then in the open, you won a world title, world games, you won world games. So to an extent, look at if I'm just like showing up at worlds from here on out, I when I retire, I still was a highly successful, highly accomplished lifter, and I left my footprints in the game, and nobody's going to forget me. That's got to be a good feeling to alleviate that type of pressure. But on the flip side, you're like, yeah, but in the current, I am the world champ. I'm the sitting reigning world champ. When I show up, people are expecting certain things of me. How do you feel about that duality?
Honestly, I'm very happy to say that I really don't care or think about anyone else's expectations of me. Um, because I feel like I already have the biggest expectations on myself. And whenever I
Mm,
screw up, it's not because of pressure from anyone else. It's always because of pressure from myself. It's because
mm,
I believe I can do big things and sometimes I jump ahead of myself. Uh, it is really cool that now I finally won it, and I know there are expectations, but at the same time, to be honest, I feel like I'm flying under the radar a little bit because, like, let's just I know we're probably going to talk about it in the future, but of this podcast. But for example, Meg had an amazing end of the year. She's done amazing
mm,
performances, and I feel like a lot of people are probably still picking her to win over me. If we look at the battle of the 63s, I think a lot of people still may pick Shiara over me. So I know there are some people that are going to be Alba is the world champ. They're going to expect me to do it, but there are honestly almost just as many people expecting Meg to win, expecting Shiara to win. I feel like most people probably right now expect Meg to win because I know she didn't have the day she wanted at Worlds. But she beat me in 2024. She beat me at Sheffield 2025. So I know there's a lot of expectations, but honestly, I haven't thought about it at all. And when you tell it, I'm very happy that I feel nothing about it. So it
you're
doesn't
like, oh
bother
yeah,
me.
fair.
Because previously I would be like, because that's how I felt a little bit for last Sheffield because I got that wild card and he told me like yeah you've increased a ton of your total in such a quick time, you have a good momentum, like we that's exactly what we want for Sheffield. And I was like, oh shit, people are expecting me to put on 20 30 more kilos on my total for Sheffield, like I have to do this, so I have to do like a 580 590 total because I have to put on this because that's what people are expecting me to do. And that time I let that get ahead of me. Now I feel like, no one's expecting anything, and the only thing I'm expecting is, to be honest, is hitting PRs. And then we'll see for that. Like that's all I want. I want to hit PRs. How much? You and me shall both see. January 31st.
Nice promo right there.
Yeah.
Um, you're right in terms of the Meg Scanlon revenge arc, redemption arc since Worlds is it's been like she's had some great performances, and
Yeah.
then getting the invite, of course she's going to drop down to 63. What she's
Yeah.
going to end up doing later on at the World Championships, she was on the podcast and obviously was kind of like if
Let them
she's on
wonder.
right, yeah,
Yeah, I heard that one.
it's amazing. She had some good sound bites, but
Yeah.
more than likely, the temptation to go to the World Championships in a third weight class because she was, if people don't remember or weren't around at the time, 2019, she broke the world record in the 57s, took a silver medal overall, 63s. Broken world records and world championships. And if she goes as a 69, which she had a great 69 campaign in the last two competitions, if she can go to worlds and even medal, she'll have gone to 3 different weight classes at the world championships and medaled in 3 different weight classes. That is an insane achievement because our
Yeah.
weight class gaps from 57 to 69 is a massive difference in body weight. And people would die to just medal or win a world title or break a world record in one weight class. To do it in 3 different over the course of almost a decade is insane in terms of your career accomplishments. So I know she's really contemplating that. So the Sheffield event could be a swan song for the 63 kilos for her. So that makes it special. And she's on that redemption revenge arc since World. She's a fire has been lit in her. So I think you're right. People love a redemption story, don't they? And people love a revenge story, don't they? So it becomes it's a romanticized story that people you make movies about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I could see that, but does that kind of fire you up in where you're like, listen to me, I get it, she's a legend, all due respect, but I'm the world champion, and the last time we showed down, I won, and okay, all right, she had a great end of 2025, 2026. I'm going to give her a reason to go to the 69s. 2026, I'll help close that door. And so, does it fire you up at all to give you motivation?
Well, seeing someone do more than you always motivates you, for sure.
Mm.
And so I feel like I can never do any of talk like, yeah, I'm gonna win or anything. Okay, you're back. No, but I definitely feel like it definitely motivates me a ton. Am I disappearing?
Oh, you're here. You're back. It
Okay.
paused for a second on me, but you're back. Yeah.
I thought it was you who paused because you kept getting
It
freezed, and
might have been.
then my computer told me just now that my internet connection wasn't stable.
Okay. Okay.
Um, no, but honestly, I just felt like it does motivate me a lot because she's doing more than me at the moment, be it in 69, but I feel like she's a veteran. She probably knows how to cut down and maintain her strength. But it does motivate me, but I'm more so like, I wouldn't say that, okay, I'm the world champ. I beat her this last time, so I'm going to do it again. And because I have no idea what she's going to do at Sheffield. I have no idea what Shira is going to do. I have no idea what anyone else is going to do. Also because I don't keep track. So all I
Mm.
know is what I'm capable of. And the only thing that I do know is I am on a revenge arc for last Sheffield. That has
Mm.
fueled me the entire year. So for me, I'm not on a revenge arc for the 63s for last Sheffield. I'm on a revenge arc for placings at Sheffield. Because last year I felt like I probably, like, if we just look at it this way, everything could happen. This may not be the case. But had I just maybe done a 2.5 kilo PR on everything and not shot to make like a 10 kilo PR, which I was doing and made terrible decisions, if I had just tried to get like a 2.5 kilo PR, I would have just broken the world record. And because it was a bloodbath, I may actually have been able to podium. And I ended up 10th. I was a podium favorite for a few selections, and I ended up 10th because I took
Mm.
terrible decisions. And it's Sheffield. It's Sheffield. And so like I feel like that's where I made my mistake. And then honestly for Sheffield, I care more so about the battle of the 63s for Worlds. And for Sheffield, I feel like it's more so I'm on a race to be better than I was last year, Sheffield.
Mm.
And then if I'm not, I think I can definitely do better than last time. Like I just need to not make the stupid decisions that I did last time, and then we'll see where that ends me up on the podium or on the placings overall. But that's just my goal. And then like the battle of the 63s, it comes more so for worlds. And yeah, so I'm on my own revenge arc. So I try to like not focus too much on what everyone else is doing because I did that last year, and I don't got the mental energy or time for it anymore because it screwed me over last time and I don't want to freak out again.
I like that where it's like, yeah, I get it. Everyone loves the redemption arc, the revenge arc. I got my own story. I got my own revenge. I got my own redemption. I ain't worried about you do you. That's good. I got my own redemption I'm chasing because I got a bad taste in my mouth. I like it. It's true. You got no control over what she does. Interesting enough. So you would say going at the Sheffield overall placement. is the top priority over winning the battle of the 63s individually, showing down with Kiara and Meg? Like, if you had to make a decision, put it this way: if it was
That's where
like,
I don't know.
well, see, that's tough because if it's okay, I think if you're about to win all of Sheffield for 2.5 kilos more, or for 2.5 kilos less, you win the battle of the 63s, being up in second, you'll probably load the extra 2.5 kilos despite it being a slightly heavier bar to go for all of Sheffield. Like that kind of question is
Yeah,
probably relatively easy, right? But if it's more along the lines of top five, so instead of, if your coach is saying for 2.5 kilos more on your final deadlift, and we know at the top end, 2.5 kilos is what can break the bank. For 2.5 kilos more, you break into the top five. Let's not say podium or whatever. Let's say break into top five. For 2.5 kilos less, again, this is top end, so it'll make a difference. You'll still be in sixth, but you win the battle of the 63s. And you defeat Meg, you defeat Kiara. Do you risk moving from sixth to fifth? Do you risk winning the battle of the 63s? And that's really the tough decisions.
yeah. I would say it honestly depends on what the number on the bar is. Because last Sheffield, I did that make that decision. I obviously my goal was placing, and I thought that's what I'm gonna care about. But then I knew my meet was terrible, honestly, and I got the choice to try to get, I think it was top five, get a little bit higher, and beat Leah with 227.5 kilos or try 237, 2.5 kilos to try and beat Meg. And I was like, at this point, I know I have no chance of like podiuming or anything, or of winning, of course. And so I was like, well, I don't care about the money or placing. I'm gonna go for the win of the 63s. And then I went for that, even though I knew I didn't have 232 and a half. Like I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't there, but I still went for it. And so it's just a really hard, tricky question because I feel like it depends on how did the meet go. How am I feeling on the day? Am I feeling really confident, like I can pull anything in the world? And also what the number is, because sometimes those 2.5, it can make a big difference. But are we talking like, okay, Alba, do you want to pull like what I think is my top end or 2.5 more of a number I'm already uncertain of? And
Mm,
then what am I sacrificing? Because it's not, maybe it is like ending up way lower on the podium. Am I okay with that? I think that I'm not focusing on the 63s, but I definitely wouldn't want to end up second or last of them either.
I
Like
know.
obviously, like at the end, I wouldn't want to be in the middle. Of course, like everyone, my goal is winning. My goal is doing as best as possible. But all I know is that if I'm not capable of doing that, then I know that that experience will fuel me to become better at the end of the day. So I honestly don't know. I think I would have to feel how is the day feeling and what is the numbers that's necessary. Um, and also like what are we talking about? Are we talking top five? Honestly, top five says nothing to me. Like I don't feel anything. If we're talking podium, then I feel something.
Mm,
And if we're talking top of the 63s, then I feel something. So I
okay.
feel like it's gonna be a decision of like podium, holding off. But if there's any placement under three, I feel like then it would probably be 63s. I don't really know, to be honest. Like I thought I had it figured out last time, but we'll have to see how the meet goes. So you and me will
Yeah.
both find out on January 31st.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. And honestly, I could see where it would be. Look, if we're talking podium, all right, take a swing for the podium, even if it's a little more. Anything underneath that, let me just battle these 63s. They're direct competition. It's fun. It's easy calculations, whatever. But if I'm moving from seventh to sixth, my God, I don't know. Just let me sort out Meg and Kiara. If it's the difference between seventh place to sixth place, it's like, all right, what
Yeah.
how much better am I going to feel that, oh, instead of seventh you came in sixth, or you defeated Meg Scanlon and Kiara head up in a battle of the 63s? What do you think people are going to remember in 5 years? That you were in seventh or sixth place,
Yeah, I feel like
or
no one is gonna
you won the battle?
remember. They're only gonna remember podium or battle. I feel like
Right.
that's why we remember Russ so well because Russ didn't podium at
I was
Sheffield,
just
sadly,
thinking that.
but he won the 83s. So you're still like that put his legacy because he came back from, obviously he came back from Lithuania losing to Torturins, and I just knew because I spoke to him well like during afterwards, and I knew like he's gonna do well. Like I just had that feeling, that gut feeling, like the next time he's gonna do well because it felt like from speaking with him afterwards. And so he did obviously did great. But that's why you remember it, but he did not podium. So when you have these head-to-head battles, it's like if someone doesn't have a head-to-head battle and they end up lower in the field, it's sadly less people talk about it. But and then in the end, I don't do it for people to talk about it, but it is a little bit bigger. It's more cemented. And which is why, for example, if Meg would win the 63s, for example, it would probably make sense for her. If she has the thought of going 69, it would probably make sense because then she's like, okay, I cemented myself now as the top of the 63s. I got that revenge, and people would remember her for that. It would be basically a win, like almost like World's win, which it was for us. Um, but then if it's top three, it's a bit different because I feel like for the 93s, when we have two 93s on the podium, I feel like less people are talking about who won the battle of the 93s because now they got second or and third.
Mm.
So, because for me, I don't know, I may not have been in the conversation, but I felt like when Emil won over Gustav at Sheffield and came second, it felt like less people talked about it as when he won Worlds in the battle of the 93s. Probably because he got second place. He got podium at Sheffield, which is huge.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a thought. But it was really big when Gustav won Sheffield, but not really because he beat the 63, because he won freaking Sheffield.
Uh, I was thinking the exact same thing. If you were to ask me, where did Russ place at last year's Sheffield? I have no idea. You know what I do know? He won the Battle of the 83s. He got revenge over Gerans. It was the big storyline. Him losing in Lithuania was massive. People couldn't believe it. And the big showdown between Gerans and Russ going into Sheffield, it was phenomenally hyped. No idea where he placed overall. Totally forget. Lost the time. But it was a massive success because he broke the world record. He got revenge. He won the Battle of the 83s, and that's all anyone's going to remember. And everyone now is like, what a gamer. Took a loss, came back, and got a win.
Yeah.
They literally say, call it a win. We don't even
Yeah.
know where he placed in the competition. He did
Yeah.
not win Sheffield, but we say he won. He got a W. He came back from an L and got a
Yeah.
W because he won the 83s. That's all that matters, to your point. So when it comes down to historically speaking, if there's going to be a battle and if you're not going to be on podium, you win that battle. And I think you're 100% right for Meg, who's going to go on to the 69 kilo class more than likely. For her, is her goal, well, before I leave 63s, instead of seventh, I want to come in sixth? I have no idea. I haven't crunched the numbers. I'm just throwing these numbers like placings out. But if it was like, I don't want to go seventh, I want to go sixth, and that's how I leave the 63s. No, no, no. It's going to be just like Russ. I need to win the battle of the 63s. That's how I cement my stay. That's how I leave. I think those battles do mean something. And the more
Yeah.
battles, it's same, probably it'll be the same for you, where if you win the battle of the 63s, um, whether you come in sixth, seventh, or wherever, people are going to remember that. And they will remember that showdown for years to come. They remember these showdowns. It's just a memorable piece in it. Unless, of course, like you already said, you're going to hit podium. All right. That's it, monetarily speaking, you make more money. And of course, being on the podium at the end of the event, people are going to remember that as well. So it's tough. It is tough. Sheffield is a unique event where there's
Yeah.
battles, there's head-on battles, there's the overall picture, and there's everything in between in terms of storylines.
Yeah.
But
For sure. But that's why we love it, ain't it?
100%, it gives you a lot. It's very unique event that in a world where you have a lot of competitions that are based on total or GL points, and it's all the same, and everything's kind of based like around those parameters. SPD created something with Sheffield that is entirely unique, and that's very difficult to do. And they
Yeah.
have a mixed bag where it doesn't have to be all the same. Like for instance, they will hype battles of the 93s, battles of the 63s, battles of the 84 pluses. They have straight up, do you like head-to-head showdown battles, kilo for kilo? We got you covered. Do you
Yeah.
like bigger picture? Do you like bigger picture people from different weight classes battling against each other? We got you covered. And do you
You want world
like world?
records?
Yeah, like about to
We
say
got
you want to see.
it.
Yeah, we got you. They got a really good idea for their Super Bowl event, and it's working. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. I want to also. I know we're getting close. I'm gonna let you go
Yeah, I
shortly
thought
because I.
I should mention I have 30 more minutes. So
Okay.
yeah.
I
So
want to
I
get
thought I
your.
should say because otherwise we're on the limit. But we
Yeah.
got
Yes.
30
Yeah.
more.
Okay. Perfect. What was your impression? There's obviously the IPF rule changes came out, and the bench press one is probably the one that's going to affect yourself, your competitors, Kiara,
Yeah.
Meg, all the 63s essentially. So
Yeah.
if nothing
We're the
else,
group of illegal benches.
right now, at the very least, you can look around the room against your competitors and be like, well, it's going to negatively impact all of us at least. Not one
Yeah.
of us is going to be like, well, it hurts me, but it helps them because I'm hurt, but it doesn't affect them negatively. So, frig, that sucks. So, at least it's across the board. And you
Yeah.
don't got to tell Kiara about the bench press rule. She took a heavy brunt at World Games, and my gosh. Um,
Yeah.
but what is your impression of it when you've seen the new additional rule? How you're interpreting it? How difficult do you think this will impact you? It won't be for Sheffield, but moving forward, what are you thinking?
I think it will be fine. Like, honestly, I've known that this is gonna come. Just a quick story. They ref like this utilizing upper body thrust. That's exactly how Sweden ref it. So
Mm.
back in 2024, when I did nationals, I had to change to make it approved in Sweden, whilst right after that, I had 7 weeks to adapt back again for open world in Lithuania. Because at Worlds, I could bench like I'm doing. But previously, I wasn't allowed to. Um, am I gone?
You know what? You you
Okay,
you
I
froze
think I'm
for a
back.
second there, but you're back now. You're back now. You were saying what we did get was you
Give
were
me a
saying that
second. I'll
within.
get my second phone.
Okay, sounds good. You know what? I'll take a second too. I'll do a quick pee break. How about that? We'll take 2 minutes. Okay, so first off, yeah, I'm Canadian. I don't know Fahrenheit. I don't know Celsius. In
Yeah,
negative,
I checked it up in Fahrenheit because I was like, I don't know if he knows Celsius. No one knows.
I appreciate
Everyone
that.
is talking Fahrenheit, and I have no idea what Fahrenheit is.
Me neither. I got no idea. Negative 25 Celsius is insane. It's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's like an
maybe
internet.
colder now. That was in the day, but so it's really cold outside. So I think that's like affecting my internet connection. I have no idea. So
Yeah, probably.
we use mobile data now instead
Are
of
you
Wi-Fi.
you were correct me if I'm wrong. I know you said this before. You're like somewhat remote too, aren't you? Aren't you in like
Yeah,
okay, like a
yeah.
small
N
town?
North small town, like 10,000 people. So I don't know. It's probably small. North of Sweden, so in the woods.
In the north end? Yeah, in the woods. In were you am I making this up where you would like um bike in the wintertime as well?
Yeah, yeah. Previously, before I met my partner, when I moved here, I used to bike like 40 minutes at like 4 or 5 a.m. to work in the snowstorm and in the cold.
Which is like in we're talking negative 25 could happen in Sweden, northern Sweden. In
Yeah, negative 30. I think last year was like 2 years ago is like negative 38.
it's
Like at the
crazy.
coldest. Then the car didn't start.
It is oh yeah. Look at I'm in Canada, but Canada's a massive. It's the second biggest country in the world, so not all temperature in
Yeah,
Canada is the same. I'm in the southern
yeah,
end. In where I live in Ontario, we dip down, and there's actually parts of the U.S. that are more north than me because Ontario dips into the U.S. So I got Americans being like up north, up where you're at, and I'm like, homie, I'm more south than you. You got to look at the
yeah,
map here. but but still it is it we can get like negative 20 but we
yeah,
also get weird weather like the other day it was 10 degrees Celsius
yeah,
and it's freaking January. That's crazy for us, but it'll
yeah,
happen every now and then. But to hear
yeah.
negative 30 snowstorm, you hopping on your bike and because you got the big, you would have to have those big fat heavy treaded tires, obviously snow tires,
I did.
or take you didn't.
No, I did. I didn't because I didn't feel like getting it. So at that time I didn't. I almost died a few times, but it ended up pretty fine.
I can't even imagine grabbing my bike at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's -30. And be like off on my way to work. I never again will complain about a bad drive to
Yeah.
work. But when I picture
Yeah.
what you had to do
Well,
to get there,
since I don't have a driver's license, like I kind of I had to make it anyway somehow.
yeah, bless you. Okay, what were we talking about before it cut out? I forget now.
Ventral. So what I thought about it. I think I don't know if you heard anything, but I was talking about a story about in 2024 nationals. I had to have like the same technique
Oh yeah,
because Sweden don't allow me to bench the way that I do. And so basically like I because at 2023 Romania Junior Worlds, I'm gonna warm up for bench press. And my coaches are a bit worried that my technique is not gonna go through because in Sweden they think that it's not okay. And so I'm like, but I've talked to Joey, like we've talked to referees, it's supposed to be fine. We've seen Meg did it at 2023 Worlds, like a lot of other people did sync it, so it was like it should be fine. And it was completely fine, but we were worried. And ever since then, I kind of know if Sweden is reffing this way, it's gonna be a rule change in the future. So I had
mm,
that in the back of my mind. And then in Sweden for 2024 Worlds, what I did, the nationals, what I did is I still sunk it to depth, but made sure that I had a little less of an arch and made sure that I don't push with my body. I just make sure that all of the force is just coming from my arms. I'm literally just pushing so my hips and my body is completely still and manage that and it felt pretty good. And then, I changed for worlds. And then since I haven't done the nationals, because nationals is almost like at the same time as Sheffield is. So I haven't done that. And so, I haven't really thought about it, but I kind of knew that it's gonna come. So when they first came out with it and how they worded it, I was like, it makes total sense. I understand what to do
mm,
immediately because I had already done it and because I know how they ref it in Sweden. And but then I do understand like how are the refs actually gonna apply it and the practical. I was a little bit like they told us as well for Worlds in Germany, Joey ran up to me just when I was gonna start warming up for squats, and we're like, they changed the bench rule because they spoke about it, and we were like, let's see what they do. We're gonna do the same thing as normal. But I was like confident that okay, I can adapt. I know what to do. And they told us basically like, okay, you can't allow your chest to sink when you sink. But then it was like, okay, they're not going to implement it right now. And then I've been talking to Yoan multiple times since then, like asking him, have you talked to referees? Have you heard anything? Because I'm not always on social media. Like, have you heard anything? Do we know anything? And so since then, I've had a few sessions here and there where I basically like try to practice training with sinking without allowing my rib cage to sink down and also like sinking and not pushing too much with my legs, like remaining still. So when it then like at this time I haven't heard anything for so long. So I this week before the rule change came, I was like, you know what? Now finally let's just be consistent with my normal technique. Had a week
mm.
of that, it started feeling great again. And then the rule change came and I was like, you know what? I should have just changed everything from the start. I was like, really? But it came pretty fast without any kind I mean, when the bench depth rule came, we got 3 months of knowing, you could educate the referees how to ref it and everything because it came out like in September. And then, it was applied in like January. So I felt like it was weird that it came out so fast without any like actual, like they should have gotten it to us in September and then told us it's going to start 1st January because then people can ask questions. The IPF can make a video of what's okay, what's not okay, like what's the limit, how should refs, we could teach the refs, have education courses, all of that before. And that felt a little bit weird that it was so sudden. But then at the same time, I was like, you know what? Okay, I was prepared for it to happen. Because Yoey told me 6 weeks before that within the next 6 weeks, they're going to decide what to do about it, if they're going to do
Mm.
something about it. So I kind of knew that it could come. So it wasn't all that surprising. It was more like, oh, well, it affects, like you said, it affects all of us. So the only sad thing is I know it's going to affect my placing overall in Sheffield. And that was a
Mm.
bit like, because my total will probably drop a bit. But at the same time, I've like, I adapted before. And when I first adapted for the bench depth rule, I didn't sink. Like I started sinking afterwards. At first I didn't sink. I just had a soft touch. So I was like, like I know I can adapt again because I did at that time. And, I got my strength back before. So, I'll be able to do it in again. And I'm not against the rule change. I guess I understand why they don't like the way I bench. Like I get so much hate for it. Like of course I know what they don't like. People are hating on it all the time. Um and so I understand it. Do I think it's necessary? Honestly, I don't care. I'll just adapt to the rules. If they ban sumo, I'll do conventional. Like literally, I'll just adapt because I still love the idea of powerlifting. That nothing, no rule change that they do is gonna get me to quit. They could do
Hmm.
high bar squats only. I'm not gonna quit because I still love lifting. And it's just another challenge, and then I'll just take that on. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I didn't care that much. And then obviously now they took it back, which obviously works in my favor. And but I do feel like, yeah, the wording, how it is, and also now the only thing I find weird now is that they're claiming that it's already an existing rule, but they haven't called on it for 3 years at all the biggest level meets. If you haven't called on something for 3 years, I don't think you
Hmm.
can say that it's an existing rule. And then you just go, well, now you know it was always in the rule book. And then something is wrong because it's been 3 years,
Like,
2023,
what do you?
2024, 2025.
It would be because then the follow up question would be like, why weren't you calling people on it for the last 3 years if it was always supposed to be that?
Yeah,
Like,
because
you had to just
exactly, because then you would have seen it immediately. Like, okay,
yeah,
people, because I feel like probably no one knows what heaving is. Because whenever we've asked someone what is heaving, they say sinking the bar after the press command because it says in
right.
the rule book heaving or sinking the bar, which could mean that sinking the bar after the press command could be the reasoning or the explanation of heaving, which is how everyone has applied it. And now they're saying that it's something different, but if they always knew it was something different, I do feel like then they would have definitely told us about it at the first very championship 2023 Worlds when they started noticing, and even like Europeans, like when they started noticing people doing this technique, they would have said, this is not okay. You should put it red, which is what Sweden did, to be honest, immediately or
Mm,
after a few meets, but they still like came up with it. And then like 3 years later, going like, no, I feel like that's a bit weird. That's the only thing.
mm. You got a good perspective on it, attitude towards it, where it's like, look, it is what it is. I'll adapt, and I love lifting, and I'll figure it out. Don't overly stress
Yeah. I was
because
kind of excited because I was like, what can I do with a non-cheating bench press, as they say? Like, how much
yeah,
can I lift eventually when I get time? Like, it's almost exciting as well. I want to find out too. So,
it's a new challenge, right? It's a new challenge.
yeah.
How is powerlifting in Sweden in terms of participation, popularity? Because we're hearing about a recession. I don't know if it's hitting all nations in America though. In North America, powerlifting looks like it's not only stalled out, but it's receded a little bit in terms of
Yeah.
participation. How is it like? Are you experiencing in Sweden?
Well, I talked to the federation a little bit just a few weeks ago with the gala in Sweden that I got nominated to. And what they told me is I think that in Sweden we get more members every year. So it is
Hmm.
growing in Sweden. And I haven't heard anything about it regressing. So I definitely think the only thing I know is like economics and sorry, like the amount of funds that people have are a bit like the federation have is less. Um, but the members are growing. So I think that's amazing that sport is growing in our country. And they do a lot for sub juniors and like just adolescents and like courses and workshops. And they've seen like strength training is something that so many do. And so the interest is really, really there.
That's really where you got to grab like the futures, obviously the juniors, sub juniors, and collecting people. Do they have a university varsity program in place in Sweden where it's a university sport or high
And
school even?
not really what you can do. It's not like a university sport because you don't really got that as much in Sweden.
Mm.
But you can do high school. There are a few high schools that have powerlifting as programs. So then you get a little bit more time to do powerlifting and have powerlifting practices within school, in high school. So there are a few places in the country where you can do that. And then for universities, there are some universities in Sweden where you can apply for your sport to get like a different type. You can basically decide the speed of what you want to study in accordance to your sport so that you can focus on competitions, etc. And you can choose powerlifting for that. That's what I know.
That's cool. That's cool. In the previous worlds that just passed, Were you the only world champion from Sweden? Off the top of my head, I think you were, right?
Yes. Yeah. Which is crazy because it's Gustav
I,
Hedlund and Emil Norling. But they're champions too.
well, for
And
sure.
they've
I mean,
been
they're
along
legends
way
in the game.
longer than I have. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. But do you feel like you're carrying the flag for Sweden at the moment because of you are the because Sweden is a powerlifting nation. When I think about powerlifting nations, Italy has obviously risen in the last few years, particularly on the women's side, but period is starting to rise. France has become. I just heard they had 1,000 people at their nationals. I don't know the exact number. I haven't tried to fact check that, but France has risen like 1,000 people. That's like American nationals. Then you have America. UK has got tons of stars at the moment, young stars as well. So their future is extremely bright. So you have these nations that are fully established, further emerging, and massive nations on the rise. And at one point in time, no question, Sweden was right up there with tons of stars. You could have multiple world champions in one world
Yeah.
championship run.
We won
But now,
best team like at Europeans one year as well, I think. Like it was crazy. When I started, it was crazy.
so where do you gauge it now? Because now it's you. Now, to your point, you got world class lifters still around. But after 2025, first off, was it a sense of pride that okay, well, I could carry this. Our flag did not drop and touch the ground. I made sure we exited the world championships with a world champion, which is good because my gosh, if Sweden got blanked at the world championships, like Sweden for me was always a contender. I feel like every world championships that are rolled around, Sweden's going to have some a world champion or two coming out of it. But with these rising of these other nations, is it just gotten more competitive globally, do you think? Or do you think, no, you know what? Any given year, we could walk away with 3 world champions. If Gustav does what he's possibly can do at Sheffield, he could win the battle of the 93s. We are still where we always were competitiveness against the rest of the world. Like, where do you gauge this?
Well, like the only thing I can say, and I think it's a bit sad, is I would say that we had more women competing internationally at Worlds, for example, previous years. Um, but I think it was also when, you had juniors and open together at the same time. Because I feel like
Mm.
for juniors, we have a very big team. And then for open worlds, it's a little bit of less of a team right now. But I think that we're definitely going to get more. And I do feel like I feel I can't say like I'm holding the flag because we got Gustav, for example, and we also have Emil, and they're like I remember watching them when I started powerlifting and being like, wow, this is really cool. When Emil won his first junior worlds, I watched that. It was my first year in
Mm.
powerlifting. Gustav took his first silver medal, his first open worlds. I watched it. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Worlds was in Sweden. And but I do feel like I'm very proud that because I also had World Games for that, especially for World Games, I would say more so it felt like a little bit like I could definitely hold up the Swedish flag high. And like I definitely like I represented my country in a very, very good way. And that it's bringing to the sport. More so in powerlifting, I don't really feel like it's me representing Sweden all the time, but more so I'm representing Swedish powerlifting. And that's very cool because now I feel like maybe someone else is watching me like I watched Ida run, for example, or Vilma Olsson when I started. And that is very uplifting and cool. And it's cool because I'm not the only one, but at the moment doing it, I am. And it's very cool. I don't really know where to place it, but it's like when I think about it like that, this is kind of mind-blowing because remember where you were when you started. Although I always wanted this and kind of always knew it would happen.
Means something when people from Sweden are tuning in and some of their heroes are falling just short, and then you grab that gold and you're on the podium with the Swedish flag behind you. Be like, don't worry, I didn't let the flag touch the ground this year. You for
Yeah.
sure are they're gonna be like, God, thank God Alba's here. Like it's gotta feel some sense of pride, like I did this for us. Interesting though that you said you weren't necessarily doing it or a sense of pride as much Sweden, but for Swedish powerlifting. What's the differential there for you, do you think?
Well, Probably more so that powerlifting isn't showcased in media as much. Like if I win worlds, like it's not like the entire media of Sweden is going like, wow, crazy. But if
Mm,
someone else in like a skiing sport wins, like the entire population of Sweden goes like, whoa. And that's just because
mm,
of the size of the sport. But if I win worlds, the entire Swedish powerlifting population goes, whoa. But it's just like not, and I think that's the one thing where I feel like not too many people care about our sport yet in like the nation as a whole for me to feel like, okay, I am really like putting Sweden first because I feel like maybe not many people are watching yet. It's not recognized as much. But I feel like if it's getting more recognized and up there with other sports, then I'm gonna feel like more like I'm holding up the flag for the country as a whole. But now it's more so
mm.
powerlifting because I feel like powerlifters are the only one who care in a sense.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair
Powerlifting's in my
enough.
family.
And when you look at battles, like for instance at Sheffield, the '93s we had talked about with Russ, obviously Gustav's in there. Is it conflicting for you because
Yeah,
Right,
it
Russ
is.
trains under Joey, and you guys are literally teammates
Yeah,
on a different sense though, because you're both under Joey. When you're at the World Championships and people are huddled around their respective teams, you have Joey and you'll be hanging out with Russ and talking, and you'll know him like on that kind of human level. On the flip side, Gustav's Swedish. He comes from the same homeland. He's repping the same flag. He's one of the people that you had already said when you came in the game, you'd be looking at a guy like that and be like, go get him. When you flip on the world
yeah,
championships, first thing you're doing, you'll remember when you first start and you're just finding out who's who. And you're like, oh, we got a Swede in this one. I hope he does well. And then Gustav wins junior worlds, wins open worlds, wins Sheffield. And you're like, the sense of pride, like, good. Yeah,
yeah.
you're doing your damn thing. It's got to be tough. When a battle like this rolls around, what do you do?
Well, I don't know because it's also like in China, me and my boyfriend, we hanged out with Gustav and his girlfriend like every day. We did stuff
Really?
together every day. Yeah, so I feel like we're very close to them, and I really love those two. They're amazing. And so, but I also it's the same for us because I spoke with him a lot in Lithuania. We had the time to sit down, we ate lunch together with Joey, and it was also like I really respect both of them and I want the best. It's like one of these cases where I know them both so well and I want both to do so well that I'm like, can't they share the podium? But I know it doesn't work that way. I want Russ to win because I want him to have that win. But I also want Gustav to have the win because I just feel for both of them. So it's
Mm,
literally like let the best one win. Like the one who does the best on the day. Let it be up to them and their preparations and their training. Because I know both of them are doing their very best and they're going to kill it in their training and they're going to come out there to win. Let's see how they do it. Let's leave it up to them and not not up to me. And we'll see, but I respect them both. But so whenever I knew I was gonna get this question, I was like, what am I gonna say? Because like I cheer for both because so it's really
yeah.
hard. And Russ also like he's been really nice. Like whenever he's been on the podcast many times, and I feel like a lot of times he's actually talked so nicely about me, and I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? Which is really cool as well. And he's someone I look up to as well, just like how Gustav is and how I used to watch videos of how does Gustav eat when I started, training. What does Gustav do? How's his training looking? And all of that.
Because I get this often as well. I'll have people on podcasts and I'll meet people throughout the years, and you become friends with people. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like obviously like Gavin Hayden and then Russ, and I'll be friends with both these guys. These are all 93s. Keiko's been on here a million times,
Yeah.
opened up some amazing stories from Keiko. I met Gustav back in 2018 when he first won, and we were doing podcasts this entire time, and we're in 2026. Like I know these people for years,
Yeah.
and uh, it's you grow attached to them, and when they lose, and if you see it in their face, they're hurt. It's tough, and then when they win and they're really happy, you are genuinely happy for them. Like you feel ways, but when they face off against each other, and it's bound to happen when they're at the top. When people ask me, who are you cheering for? Be honest. Or do you want so and so to win and beats? Like I know you're close with that guy.
They're
Be
trying
honest.
to get some drama.
But what I say is there is duality, and that's the fact is there is duality. It's not one way. I can be happy for one person and sad for the other. That's
Yeah.
real though. That's legit. That's no cop out. It's legitimately Gustav wins. Could not be happier. He is a genuinely good person. He's holds it down. He's a credit to the sport. Nobody ever takes swings at Gustav because of this. But I could legitimately feel bad for Russ and be like, damn. And then on the flip side, if Russ wins and Gustav loses, then it becomes it's you'll feel the same. It won't be like, well, you're happy one way and not happy the other. No, no, that's not the way life is. Life is more
No.
complicated. You could
Yeah.
legitimately be happy and sad, both scenarios. Russ wins, I'm happy for him, sad for Gustav. Gustav wins, I'm happy for him, sad for Russ. And then throw a mill in there as well. I mean, this is, right across the board.
Yeah.
That's more life. That is more
Yeah.
realistic in life, is to say there's duality. I feel the same for both. It's conflicted and it's it's a part of life, and it's literally beautiful that way. It's the some of the best moments in life are where you feel mixed emotions.
Yeah.
It's how wonderful is that when it's so
Yeah.
impactful, you feel it all.
For sure. Like we plan like after I've done my lifting, depending on how happy or sad I am, we'll like just check the live stream for the guys, like how it went for squats and how it went for bench, and then you just go out and watch it live. So we have some context. Because like last year I couldn't because I was so sad, as I didn't
Mm,
want to do anything, and also you have to get doping tested and everything. But so yeah, but I will like let's just check the stream and then watch the last deadlift live,
that'd
so you
be
can at
cool.
least
Yeah,
watch it. Yeah.
that'd be really cool if you get to finish in time, and you don't have to get drug tested or whatever, depending on
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
could
like everyone
view.
has to get drug tested, but we'll see if I can pee in time. Sometimes it takes a while before you can like get ready and stuff as well.
If
But they'll be with me. They catch you immediately after Sheffield.
Do you have the opportunity? Are you watching on a screen, or do you think you'd have the opportunity to actually swing around into the audience and watch, even if standing?
I think like last year we had the opportunity to go into the audience for the last deadlift. So I watched, for example, I remember watching Gustav's and also Emil's last deadlifts. And so like that's the thing. So we can like swing around to the live, but for like squats and bench, obviously, I got my competition, so I'll have to
Yeah.
check it after my own deadlifts, uh, in that sense. But I'll think we'll be able to make it live a little bit at least.
What was it like watching Gustav win Sheffield? Like, what did you feel that, like, with a Swedish lifter winning Sheffield the first time, and the way he did it? And the thing is, too, it's such a good story because he said, I didn't know I was pulling to win. I didn't realize I just freaking won Sheffield until it was already afterwards. And the way he took
Yeah,
off his belt and put his hands up and then dropped to his knees and was like overwhelmed, like, what? He thought he won the battle of the 93s. He didn't know. No, 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 my friend, you won the whole thing. And Gustav, I had him on the podcast after he won Sheffield and then the World Championships, the Battle of '93s again, back to back. And he was always pursuing an open world title, but never won the open world title. Came so
yeah,
close so many times. But and Gustav is very stoic. And on the podcast, he actually got emotional and you could see it. He like tears welling up a little bit. And he said, I'm going to honestly tell you, this year might be the first year I actually am proud of what I accomplished and proud of myself.
yeah.
And then he heard himself say that. And you saw in his eyes, he like looked off and like, holy shit. And it, it meant something. And so for you to have seen Gustav win Sheffield, what was that like?
It was so cool. Both me and my boyfriend, we were both watching, and also like we were so happy because we know that how much work he's put in. Like he's literally been grinding for 10 years and then it came to him and he never gave up. And that was like really cool because it's just been waiting and seeing him. I felt like because it happened at Sheffield first, it was almost even bigger than if it had just like he literally both won the battle that he's been trying for so long and then literally won Sheffield at the same time, which was so cool. And it's something I never expected to happen either. In that sense, I feel like because at that year, I think also almost everyone thought that Jesus was gonna win. And was it 2024? Yeah, in 2024 because he won 2023. So like almost everyone just thought that he's gonna win. So I felt like, and I did too. And then like Gustav came up from all of like just came up and like won it. All obviously it makes sense because the 93s was at the podium both years before or the year before, but it was still so big.
Mm,
So it was really cool. But it was also like when I see that, it's like for me, if he can do it, then I can too. Like it's
mhm.
literally showing that it is possible. And I never want to watch someone else do something and think, oh, they're doing it, it's just talent. It's like, I can't do that. I always, when I see something, I'm like, wow, they did that. That means I can do that. And it gives me almost confidence when I see someone else break through. So that's really cool.
Yep. You're living proof of that right now.
Yeah.
With what you
Yeah.
you've had quite the last year in terms of worlds, the World Games, and now Sheffield. Listen, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I appreciate you extending this. Apologies for my tardiness and your flexibility on this. Greatly appreciated. The door is always open for you on King of the Lifts. We
Thank
have
you.
really
It's
good.
really cool because I remember just way back in the day when I actually like really wanted to get on King of the Lifts. And now I think it's like my third time if you count the White Lights After Worlds, which is amazing. So thank you for having me.
Got to count the white lights after Worlds because those ones actually we're doing it again at Sheffield. We're going to organize. We've already reached out to SPD. We'll have more live podcasts. Those live podcasts are in studio are amazing because we're like
Yeah.
together with competitors reflecting on what just happened or like those are
Yeah.
some of my favorite podcasts actually. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I
No, they're
still
amazing.
I still remember when me, you, actually, it was Gavin. It was me, you, and Gavin at Junior Worlds. Like
Yeah.
walked around Istanbul, went for a walk inside the village and whatnot, and like, yeah, you've been around for a hot minute, but door is always open. You've done phenomenal. I'm very proud of how you've progressed in the sport. Couldn't happen to a better person. Keep pushing athletically, as a coach as well, and I'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
And for everybody listening, as per usual, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.